This week on Christian World News, war drums in the Middle East as the U.S. prepares for a potential strike on Iran. We hear what those inside the country are praying and hoping will happen. Plus, 4 years of war since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Hundreds of thousands have died and millions more are suffering. Yet the church is standing strong. And this girls' basketball team won their district trophy only to give it away to the opposing team. The story of sportsmanship and the true spirit of winning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Christian World News. I'm George Thomas. Well, the countdown to a possible strike against Iran is underway. President Trump says he's close to making a decision on an attack. The president has a wide variety of options, including a limited first strike against some of the key targets inside the country. Paul Petit has the story from Jerusalem.
President Trump is weighing his options.
So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days.
The Wall Street Journal reports that Trump is considering an initial attack on Iran, possibly within days, to force it to meet U.S. nuclear demands. The limited strike options include attacks on nuclear and ballistic missile facilities. If Iran still wouldn't go along, the U.S. could launch a broader military campaign in an effort to potentially overthrow the Islamic government. The journal also reports that there is still a wide gap with negotiations. Iran is refusing to limit its ballistic missile program and has said that no country can deprive it of its right for nuclear enrichment.
And now is the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path.
If that path results in a full-scale war, a former U.S. Central Command deputy tells the Jerusalem Post the American military could dismantle Iran's power structure core within hours. Meanwhile, the European Union has formally added Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to its terrorist list, as Iran warns in this letter to the UN that if attacked, all hostile bases and assets in the region would be considered legitimate targets. The U.S.S. Gerald R. Ford is equipped to counter Iranian strikes. The aircraft carrier is expected to be positioned off Israel's coast to protect Tel Aviv and Haifa.
We're prepared for any scenario. And one thing is certain, if the Ayatollahs make a mistake and attack us, they will face a response they can't even imagine.
Paul Petit, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thank you, Paul. Edwin Abnous is with Heart for Iran, a TV and digital ministry reaching inside Iran. Great to have you on the broadcast, Edwin. How would you describe right now the mood of the country?
Thank you, George, for having me. Yes, well, as you know, these recent uprising, which started from December 28, which a lot of people are calling it a revolution, has been going for a long time, and people are exhausted. But at the same time, they're angry and very determined. And even though people are not marching outside on the street like before because they have lost a lot of lives, it has gone very much underground. People are chanting from the rooftops, and the momentum is still building. They still have a hope. It seems like they're deep into the water, and they need to cross the river and finish the job. Now, they don't know how the outcome is going to be. But last time in the previous uprising, everybody was hoping for some sort of a reform within the system. Now they say it is time just to topple the regime and come up with a new system to govern our country. So people are tired, exhausted, but they're determined, and they're seeing this through.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Previous protests, it was all about reform. Now it's talking about, as you said, total regime change, a toppling of the system of governance. I'm curious, what would success realistically look like? Regime change or something else?
They want a regime change, and they're very clear about it. They're not, as you said, they're not looking for some sort of reform because they have seen all sorts of different type of Islamic governance over the country past 47 years. Now they say we need something else because these current regime couldn't give us the freedom and dignity that we deserve. So they're looking for a dignity. They're looking for freedom. Now, they, maybe some sort of a democratic system. We don't know. Maybe some are chanting for constitutional monarchy. Whatever that is, the fact of the matter is that they want freedom and dignity, and they want an economic recovery that guarantees a life without financial struggles and religious and military dictatorship. So that is what they're looking for a new government.
What do you wish Western viewers better understand right now about Iran and its people?
First of all, Iranians are not the same as regime. The Iranian people are young, they're educated, globally aware, and they're deeply disillusioned with this religious authoritarianism that have been experiencing. And many are spiritually open, really. They're searching and far more receptive to Christianity than we ever think. And Iranian regime, it's interesting to know that they have claimed that 98% of Iranians inside the country are Shia and Muslims. But the recent research shows that the number has dropped from 98 to 38%. And that is quite telling, that Iranians love and respect freedom, a government that is not pressuring them, is not oppressing them. And as a matter of fact, they really respect Western culture, and they're very much up to date with the Western culture trends. And Iran can be a great ally to the West, and many Western nations can connect with this beautiful country with the old history and be allies.
Yeah, something I think most of our viewers may not know, and you know this very, very well. Research shows that Christianity is growing fastest right now in Iran than in any other country. You are in contact with the underground church. We just have a few more seconds. Tell us, how are Christians preparing for what's to come?
Yeah, the 1.5%, that's the research number that came out, the Iranians are open to Christianity. And right now they're preparing for discipleship and decentralized approach to their churches if the country stays closed down. But once it is open, Iranians are ready for the next strategy. And I'm sure Iranians will move faster, will preach wider in many regions, and I'm positive that in the new Iran, Christianity is going to have a different face.
Real quick, how can we pray for Iran?
Please pray for protection of civilians, wisdom and courage for underground church, and for softened heart for across the country. And I pray once the regime is over, revenge is not the answer. And I pray for these traumatized people to receive their healing as fast as possible.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll have to leave it there. Edwin, thank you so much. Continue to pray for you and your team as you continue to minister inside the country. Up next, Ukrainians have endured 4 years of war. As the military continues to hold off the Russians, hear how the church is thriving in the middle of this disaster. Welcome back to Christian World News. This month marks 4 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. The casualty count is staggering, with nearly 2 million soldiers on both sides killed, wounded, or missing. Russia's military suffering the worst, with 1.2 million casualties, including up to 325,000 killed. Ukrainian forces are about 600,000 casualties, with as many as 140,000 deaths. Casualties among Ukraine's civilians increased by 27% last year as Russia continues to attack non-military targets. Russia has taken about 1.5% of Ukrainian territory. The Trump administration is facilitating talks between the two sides in Geneva, Switzerland, but 3 rounds of meetings have produced little results. Sergei Rakuba is president of Mission Eurasia, a Ukrainian-based ministry, and has been actively involved in the ongoing conflict since 2022. Sergei, as the war approaches its fourth year, tell us, how has daily life in Ukraine changed?
George, it's so good to be with you on the show, and it's hard to believe it's been 4 years since that terrible war started, since first bomb started falling on capital of Ukraine and all the major cities of that beautiful country. So this 4 years, it was so exhausting. It was so tiring for people. You know, there are lots of fear, there are lots of uncertainty, but Ukrainian people continue to be so resilient, and they are weary, they are tired, they are exhausted. But what I hear from people, you know, in their day-to-day interactions, they want to stand to the end to defend their freedom, their sovereignty, and their existence. And this is what's happening in Ukraine. In 4 years, you know, lots of resources been spent. There are less humanitarian aid available for Ukrainian people today. I'm talking about the global networks. But Ukrainian people, families, they continue to stand. Even the bombs continue falling on their quarters, on their towns and villages. Ukrainian families, they continue praying, they continue standing, they continue, their sons and their brothers, their fathers continue defending their nation. And, you know, in this fourth dark anniversary, they see that people of Ukraine, the first what they turn to God. And this year, the National Day of Prayer, approved by the President of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, which is going to be led by the Ukrainian church, will be calling again nation to prayer, nation to stand for their existence, for their freedom. And this is what's happening today in 4 years since the war started in Ukraine.
You talked a little bit about the spirit of resilience, and the reality, Sergei, is that the Ukrainian Protestant evangelical community has played a monumental role in that resilience. Talk about this real quickly and how the church is doing 4 years on.
4 years on, George, church is doing absolutely amazing, carrying its spiritual leadership responsibility in the nation. Church, and it was approved by the entire nation, is doing absolutely amazing work, kind of putting bandages on emotional, spiritual wounds of the nation, helping families, helping, you know, so communities. And it's all in its spiritual sense. Church became a real beacon of hope, leading the nation in a spiritual way, helping to convey the message of hope in Jesus, but also in the humanitarian force. I can see the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands volunteers who are on behalf of national church communities, Christian entities in Ukraine, continue fighting on the front line of that humanitarian war, helping those who are in need. As men are fighting for their nation and with the weapons in their hands on the front line, those who cannot serve, they are on the second line. They are helping. They're supporting their soldiers. They're supporting the army. But also every other man, as I know, in Ukrainian church who is capable, they want to be chaplains, supporting hurting communities, soldiers, families, orphans, widows, and you can name it.
Yeah.
So the church is doing absolutely amazing work. They're tired. They are running out of resources. They still need a lot of help from the global community. And this is what is the biggest need today. Less resources becomes available. And we understand there are many wars are fought in this world. But Ukraine, when continues fighting for its freedom, for its existence, for its sovereignty, they need help more today than ever before.
Yeah, terrific. And you guys at Mission Eurasia are continuing to do that very, very important work. Sergey, as always, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, George.
You're welcome. Coming up, the true spirit of winning. Meet the girls' basketball team that made headlines by giving their district trophy to the opposing team. Folks, welcome back to the broadcast. You know, from politics to sports, today's culture often pushes the concept of winning at all costs. Well, one high school girls basketball team is demonstrating just the opposite. John Jessup brings us their story from Oklahoma City.
Grit, grind, and heart. Ingredients that led the Lady Griffins varsity team to clinch their first championship earlier this year. Days later, they'd make history again.
Usually in the world of high school sports, it's an exceptional display of athleticism that catches the public attention. Last season on this very court, it was an unusual display of good sportsmanship that drew national headlines.
I just needed to know in my heart for certain that we were the champions so that I could sleep that night.
After reviewing the game video and twice tallying the score, Coach Brendan King confirmed his team lost by 1 point. A scorekeeping mix-up gave the Griffins a 1-point advantage and the district trophy. For Coach King, that was the first hard pill. The next, breaking the news to his players.
And the girls' ears immediately kind of perked up. Like, we don't meet on a Sunday, and they said something has to be going on.
I thought somebody died.
My first thought was like Ellie said, who died, or like somebody got hurt really bad or something.
When Coach King told them about the loss, all the players agreed to challenge the outcome.
Of course, there's hesitation, there's grief, whatever, but we had played the game, and like there's nothing that could take away that hard work and all of our like teamwork and all of that. But we never had one in the first place, if that makes sense. So there was like a coming to terms with, oh, we didn't win, but there was never like, oh, but we can still keep the trophy, because like, why would we do that?
Their reasoning? Being true to their emotions while also answering to a higher call.
It didn't benefit us in the way that we would have been able to continue, but it did benefit us in showing the world that this was really the good thing to do and the thing that glorifies God most.
They've also learned to find humor in the heartbreak.
I also feel like the trophy just like wouldn't have been valuable if every time we saw it sitting on the shelf, we thought, oh wait, we actually lost that game.
Exactly.
Breaking its own rules, the state governing board for high school athletics granted their appeal. Just hours after the girls' decision, Coach King and his wife delivered the trophy to the opposing team.
Showed us, there are still good people in this world.
The story got picked up by CBS, their good deeds striking a chord covered by media around the world.
It's kind of like a running joke around our student body. It's like, oh, another day, another interview.
So what makes a team decide a win isn't a win, but in this case, an actual loss? Well, to get a better understanding, you'd have to come here, where learning for the girls isn't just purely academic, it's also about virtue.
This is the Academy of Classical Christian Studies in downtown Oklahoma City, where students start and end the day in prayer. Walking the halls, it looks and sounds like your typical school. Yet the Academy represents a growing movement called Classical Christian Education, a challenging 3-stage curriculum where the Bible, along with the traditions of ancient Greece and Rome, are used to teach and transform kids by learning about the world and its creator. The method is catching on.
Parents know what their calling is and their duty towards their children, and they see classical and Christian education as among the most effective partnerships, giving them memory, helping them be practiced in virtue, and baptizing their imagination into something true, good, beautiful, and eternal.
There is a part of me that wasn't surprised.
Casey and Sarah Shutt have 2 sons enrolled at the academy, and their daughter Cora, now a freshman in college, played ball as a Lady Griffin last season.
I mean, our daughter can kind of look back and tell us now that she's in college, like, these are the things I really appreciated. I'm thankful for this education, and that is a blessing as a parent.
While reports show these students outperform their peers in public and private schools, educators say this curriculum isn't designed simply to prepare students for college. It's to train them to be kingdom-minded.
It gives them kind of a higher target in life. Virtue is something that the school speaks of quite a bit.
Bringing lessons learned at home and in the classroom onto the basketball court, the team's fan base has grown.
I got to ask you, what's it been like for you to witness the response to the story?
I'm thankful the story's out there because I hope it's encouraging to other coaches or other teams out there that there's so many bigger life lessons than just wins and losses. Again, I never thought it would get to this point. Multiple social media messages that had come my way. Letters started to show up to the school, check donations just to the girls' basketball program.
We asked why they think the story's gone viral.
A culture whose favorite hashtag is winning needed a new story of what true winning is.
I think it resonates that, yeah, that's the right thing to do. And maybe if this happens in this little high school setting, maybe there's hope beyond in the political realm or in the business world or in all these other spheres of life.
For these students, it's about their family, friends, and mentors.
Growing up in the academy has given me almost like a golden standard of community that I want to hold to, like a standard that I will want to always work up to, or maybe even improve on.
Win or lose, setting an example for us all. John Jessup, CBN News, Oklahoma City.
Finally this week, evangelist Franklin Graham preached the gospel to a city in need of hope. Ushuaia, Argentina, is called the city at the end of the world, literally, sitting 650 miles from the tip of Antarctica. It's also known to have the highest suicide rate in the country, prompting the Graham team to make hope the theme of its evangelistic outreach. The ministry reports hundreds of people put their faith in Christ Jesus during the 2-day event. Folks, that is it for this week's edition of Christian World News. From all of us here, the headquarters of the Christian Broadcasting Network, until next week, goodbye, and as always, God bless you.